So the first time I repeated myself on how to train someone to open the mail, I was like, I need to put this in writing because I never want to have to train anybody ever again on how to open the mail.
I want to ask you a question I've never asked you before, which is like, why did you decide to build a systems driven firm? Like, did some catastrophe happen? Did some experience happen that caused you to want to build a systems driven firm rather than what most attorneys do, which is pretend to themselves that they're too smart to create systems?
Well, first is I put my ego behind me, which is that I'm the best at doing everything. So every lawyer thinks that only I can do tasks 1 through 10. I mean, it's just part of being a lawyer is that everybody else is an idiot. You basically think that you're the best at doing everything. And what's interesting is the further I got in my career, I realized that I am the best at doing a few things, but there's so many other things that I'm not the best at. And I realized that I hated them. And there's a matrix of things you're good at that you hate, things that you're good at that you like. There's a whole matrix of evaluating things to delegate. And I realized there are quite a few things that I didn't like to do, and quite a few things that that I sucked at. And so I wanted to complement my staff with people who did things I didn't like to do or things that I shouldn't be doing. So it wasn't really a trauma. It was that I realized that I wanted to be doing stuff all day that I liked. And I also didn't want to repeat myself. So the first time I repeated myself on how to train someone to open the mail, I was like, I need to put this in writing because I never want to have to train anybody ever again on how to open the mail or how to answer the phone. And these are things that people at a level 1 are still doing. They're still answering the phone. They're still picking up their cell phone. They're still opening the mail. And they're still putting stamps on envelopes, which is what you do the first month or 2 months of your company. But that's a repeatable thing that you can teach a monkey to do. So you don't hire monkeys, but you hire chimpanzees, I guess, smart monkeys, who can do that low-level stuff. And as you proceed in building your zoo, to stick with the analogy, you hire smarter and smarter people to be working with you that can do higher and higher level tasks. So it was not a trauma. It was just kind of, it was born organically out of figuring out how not to repeat myself.
So key. And that's what Einstein calls insanity, right? Is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I think that's what a lot of attorneys do when they're building the systems of their practice. So my next question is getting started with building systems. I think people make this bigger than they need to. Like I was mentioning earlier, I interviewed John Nachhazel, who runs, who I know you know as well, runs the largest personal injury law firm in all of Michigan, Mike Morse's firm. And I talked to him 2 weeks ago in front of some of our coaching members. And what he said was that a system is literally just a documented Word document that people can easily access, that people follow, and that's regularly updated as systems change. And he said it's like literally that simple. And most times I think attorneys stress themselves out because they make what a system is more complex than it really needs to be. And for the attorneys here who feel like I need to get my systems in check, which I think is a terrible goal because it's not clear and measurable. But my question to you is this: for the attorneys here who are like, I got to get my systems in check, my head's spinning off, where do you get started?
Well, I started with thinking about the different departments or sections of my company. So in a law firm, every law firm has similar departments. One, of course, is your intake, right? One is your reception. So you just start from the beginning of a client experience to the end. You go reception, intake, operations, which is processing the case, maybe receivables if you bill, and then closing a case. And that's about it. I mean, if you think about it, every company actually, you have similar processes. So the way I started was I listed those processes. And then I started to create a table of contents. So if you have 5 different processes in your office, the first thing is to just write down those 5 processes. They're really simple. I just said them. And then after you write, your first process might be intake. And then within intake, you just focus on that for literally a month. And you just take it slowly. And you say, this week, I'm going to create 3 systems that have to do with intake, or maybe 2 systems that have to do with intake. One is answering the phone, how to answer the phone. The second may be how to sign up a client or how to get them to sign the client contract. You spend a week and you just commit to 1 or 2 or 3. And that way it doesn't look so overwhelming because all you're doing is department 1, 2 systems. And I did it that slowly. Because if you do it 1 pound at a time, you can lose 30 pounds. If you think you need to lose 30 pounds and that's your goal, you're never going to do it because it's too daunting. So if you think you're going to create all your systems next week, give up because you're not. But if you think you may do 1 or 2 systems next week, good for you. In fact, we did our table of contents first. It took us 3 months just to do our table of contents. And then we started creating systems. So the table of contents itself takes a while. So I start with a skeleton, which is the table of contents, and then you build out your systems in a slow, methodical, disciplined method.